So cotton, again, Texas is pretty unique because it's such a diverse state. Planting of cotton in Texas actually starts in about February in the Rio Grande Valley and goes to about mid-June to, around mid-June in the high plains of Texas. And then actually at this point in time, which is, mid-July, they're already starting to harvest cotton in the Rio Grande Valley. And literally in the high plains of Texas, they're just really getting started. Their cotton plants are just now starting to grow and just now starting to bloom. So pretty diverse in that way. As far as cotton planting goes, cotton is a perennial plant. So it's like the shrubs that you may grow in your yard. If you planted those shrubs from seed, you would probably realize that most perennials are fairly weak seedlings, and cotton is no different. So one of the biggest challenges that we run into in cotton and growing cotton is stand establishment. There's a lot of emphasis on seedling vigor and things like that, but again, it's just a challenge. It's not near as a robust of a plant and near as easy to establish as our grain crops are. So stand establishment is in reference to the amount to actually getting those plants up and thriving, basically, within a field. And we want a plant population, or the number of plants per acre, to be at a certain level so that we can optimize yields within that field. So just an example would be kind of a general recommendation would, in this part of the state and South and East Texas, would be about 40,000 plants per acre would be kind of a population we would shoot for. Cotton being a perennial plant and fruiting over a very long time period can compensate for stands much lower than that, easily down to 25,000 plants per acre. And I can show you a plant in a little bit of how that plant does compensate. But once we get that cotton plant establishment, early season pests again can be problematic. Weeds can be problematic again because that plant grows very slowly to begin with. Much like shrubs, cotton doesn't put on a lot of above ground growth or shoot growth early in the season. Most of its energy actually goes into developing a very strong root system. Because as a perennial plant, perennials means it's around multiple years, and cotton is a perennial. We grow it as an annual, but it's a perennial plant. So it grows like a perennial plant with a very strong root system, which again makes it very drought tolerant and allows us to grow it in parts of the states that we can't grow other crops. Early season weed pressure, again, it is very important to minimize that, again, because we don't have a lot of above ground growth. So we need to minimize the weed competition early season so that we can get that crop off to a good start. Then, so the plant will grow vegetatively, which means it doesn't put on any sort of reproductive structures until usually about nodes 6, 7, or 8. And then it'll start putting on flower buds that we call squares. And those squares stay on the plant about 21 days before the bloom actually opens. The bloom opens as a white bloom, sort of a white creamy bloom. And then after usually a day or two, it's pollinated. And then after it's pollinated is when the petals actually turn pink. And then general time frame is from the time it's pollinated until that boll is actually open. So that boll grows in size, and then it actually opens up like this. Once it's open, that's about a 55-day time frame. And then, since cotton fruits progressively up the plant, we're looking at, bolls opening up from the bottom of the plant up to the top of the plant until we come in and harvest that. We kind of use the word cotton fruit and boll interchangeably. That it is actually a cotton fruit because the seeds are on the inside, but in the industry we call it a cotton boll. Especially after it's open, we definitely refer to it as a cotton boll because it's no longer, a lush fruit, I guess you would say.